I'd like to call this meeting of Shawano City Council to order. Show that all council members are present. Tonight I've asked Councilman Whipple to lead us in the invocation, followed by Councilman Adams to lead us in the pledge. If you'd all like to stand and join us, you may do so.
Our dear Heavenly Father, as we come before Thee this night, we are grateful for the opportunity to meet. We are grateful for this great city that we live in, and for the great employees that work here and members of our community. We're grateful for the moisture that we have received and ask Thee to please bless that we can continue to receive more. Help us to have a positive, productive meeting. And these things we pray for in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen.
Join us in the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Councilman Whipple, Councilman Adams. Next item on the agenda is call to the public. City Attorney.
Thank you, Mayor. Any citizen desiring to speak on a matter that is within the jurisdiction of the City Council may do so at this time. Comments shall be limited to 3 minutes per person and shall be addressed to the City Council as a whole, and not any individual member. Issues raised shall be limited to those within the jurisdiction of City Council. Pursuant to the Arizona Open Meeting Law, the City Council cannot discuss or act on items presented at this time. At the conclusion of the call of the public, individual City Council members may respond to criticism made by those who have spoken, ask staff to review a matter, and ask that a matter be put on a future agenda.
Thank you, I appreciate that. Next item on the agenda under special events is presentation of Outstanding Community Service Award to Mr. Bill, don't go there, Volley. Marcia, if you'd like to come up, you can bring Bill with you. Go to the podium over there, please. Because I want, face us. That works the other way. I know it seems kind of weird, but they could see you on TV now. Just tell us a little bit about what you sent me a couple weeks ago.
This gentleman is named Bill Volley, and he has been a bell ringer for the Salvation Army. He is a veteran, and he has been every day, even though he has some pretty significant health issues, goes to the dog park every day and cleans it up. And there's so much waste out there that this gentleman takes his time to make sure that he and his pet have a wonderful place to go and visit. He gets no help, he gets no thank you, and that's why we're here today.
Okay. And if you don't mind, I'm going to have the Vice Mayor read this plaque we'd like to give you. I can't read. Can't see it.
An Outstanding Service Award presented to William Volley in recognition of your unwavering dedication and selfless service to our community. Your quiet commitment to keeping our beloved dog park clean has not gone unnoticed, obviously. Day after day, through kindness and duty, you have set an example of generosity and care. As you face life's next chapter, know that your efforts have left a lasting mark on this city. With gratitude and admiration, the Show City Council, March 18th, 2025.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. You can go out there and get a picture that way. Yeah, let's go take a picture.
Hang on a second.
Hey, right there, Marcia.
That's
You're the eye candy. You're making me look ugly.
It's what?
Take a picture. Please, thank you.
Oh, it's Volley.
Yeah. Not a big deal.
We can change it.
All right, ready? 1, 2,
you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you.
Just go this way. Alrighty, next item on the agenda is presentation regarding wildfire mitigation by APS. Mrs. Dean.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, Council. Appreciate the time and the opportunity to address you in relation to our wildfire mitigation program, as well as our PSPS, our Public Safety Power Shutoff. So with that, Janet and I will be tag teaming this. My name is Joe Weathersby. I'm the Northeast Division Manager, and I don't know if I need to introduce her, but go ahead.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. Janet Dean, Public Affairs Manager for APS's Northeast Division, which includes the Show Low and the area here. So,
Absolutely. So our wildfire mitigation program has been going on for many years. Didn't just start yesterday. As you know, and especially living in the mountains, as we all do, I live in Williams, and it's not a whole lot different in relation to the wildfire mitigation concerns. There you go. So APS for many years has been putting together a plan where we have addressed our vegetation in the main part of our right-of-ways. If you've noticed and been to any other states, and we're very proud of this, you can tell where our power lines are. Our vegetation is cleared. We take that very seriously, and we always have. Not just from a wildfire standpoint, but also a reliability standpoint. We do not want things coming in contact with our lines and interrupting service either. In addition to that, we've also have several programs. I don't want to get too far ahead of the slides are going.
You've done this a few times. You probably don't need the slides.
I
Is that
don't. I just,
the point?
yeah, I just don't want to get too far ahead, Janet. Yeah, you know how she is, man. So, as I was talking about, our current, and it's on the screen now, our current practice is vegetation management is really the cornerstone. It's really our first pillar for the reason of it's the first line of defense. Let's clear the area. Let's make sure it's as safe as possible. Nothing can come in contact with our lines. In addition to the vegetation management, another facet of our vegetation management is our DSAP program, so our defensible space around poles. If you've noticed, even in your city, which we've done this for many years now, we clear a 10-foot circle, if you will, a circumference around poles that have equipment on that, which could generate a spark, whether they operate or any other reason. Vehicles come in contact, different things come into contact with them. So we've cleared those areas, and we maintain those with either herbicide or manual clearing based on where they're at and what they're near. And we do that every year. We've, to date, and I don't know if it's on this slide or not, but I believe we're somewhere around 26,000 poles treated, which is pretty significant, equipment-based poles. The hazard tree program, which is something that we've done just recently here in the Snowflake, Show Low, Shumway area, are trees that are even outside of our right-of-way. They're not within our right-of-way, but they have the potential to fail and fall into our right-of-way, some sort of a defect in those trees. We come back and we clear those, which is well outside of our purview, if you will, but still a hazard to the system. And we've worked very hard to build the relationships with the Forest Service, the state land, cities, counties, to be able to do that. We don't want to come in and just clear vegetation to clear it. We want to make sure that there's a purpose behind it. Our grid hardening, there has been so many updates and changes in the last, I'm going to say 10 years, 8 to 10 years in the fire mitigation space, of where we've installed different devices on our lines that are, we call them non-reclosing. What that means is if something were to cause a fault on our lines outside of the fire mitigation season, those devices try 3 times to turn the power back on. If the fault's cleared, power comes back on. During fire mitigation season, we turn it to what we call one shot. It won't strike 3 times, it'll go 1 time. Once it sees the fault, it opens. We don't want to inadvertently start a fire, a tree in the line or anything like that, especially in our beloved forests that we live in. We don't want to damage those. We don't want to, quite honestly, put anybody in danger. So we go out, we patrol. It does take a little longer for the outage to be resolved or restored, for power to be restored, but it's the right thing to do, and it's the safest thing to do. In addition to that, we have mesh pole wrapping. Pretty neat stuff. I couldn't tell you all the things that it's made of, but it's a mesh that we wrap our poles with, and when it comes into contact with fire, it actually seals itself. And the fire will not impinge on the pole for a certain length of time. It's almost like a firewall, if you will. What that allows is for our system to obviously not be impacted by a fire that may move through, even if it wasn't caused by a utility or another source. Our non-explosion or expulsion fusing.
Quick comment, real quick, before we get too far away. So when the power goes out, when do you the one time when do you
Patrol
turn it
it.
back
So
on?
after the patrol, we'll turn it back on.
That's when it
Once
comes.
it's-
Okay.
Yes, I didn't clarify that. So before, outside of fire mitigation season, what will happen is the equipment will do its job and typically can restore itself.
But after 3 times you go out there.
Well, after one time in fire
I'm
season,
talking about normal times.
yes, after 3 times, if it won't restore,
One time you go out.
absolutely.
Okay.
Yep. The non-expulsion fusing. So you guys have all seen our little round cylinders on the poles. We call them doors, but you know, in this world, but they're fuses essentially. They see a fault on those taps or anything like that, they'll open, and we'll have to patrol and make sure it's clear to close back in, you know, with a new fuse. The old style emits sparks. They just do. That's their style. So it opens, it creates sparks as they fall to the ground. It's been that way for 100 years. These non-expulsion fusing, we call them ELF fuses, won't do that. They have a separate barrel that actually captures the sparks or the fire-causing debris and negates it, so it doesn't fall to the ground and cause a fire. But that, in addition with our DSAP program, is a very, very secure situation in most times. Now, again, wind, there's a lot of different variations that could come into contact, but we've done all we can in that space, we believe, to mitigate those sparks during a normal operation of the system, especially during fire season or in fire-prone areas. Steel poles, we put those up everywhere we can, but there's one concern with a steel pole. We can't climb them. You have to have a truck. If I can't get a truck to it, I can't put a steel pole in. So where the fire mesh comes in to harden our wood poles really helps us negate some of that concern as well. Overall, our asset inspection, we've done a tremendous job, in my opinion, our teams have, enhancing our line patrols. So, you know, we talked a little bit about a basic line patrol if we have a device that operates. Now, every year, we're patrolling these locations with drones, with helicopters, and on foot, UTVs. It's quite the process. We do it every time, every year, all lines in fire-prone areas. And we look at them. We find anything that could potentially be wrong, whether that's a cracked crossarm, whether that's something that just doesn't look right. And we go and we fix whatever we identify before May 1st. That's what the fire season is officially shown as the start date, although depending on the moisture, we all know when that start date could be moved up or moved back. The drone use, drones have become such a vital part of a utilities patrol program where 5 years ago they weren't. These drones are using LiDAR, they're using infrared, they're doing a lot of different things. They're seeing things that the human eye can't. And we're catching things. We're catching hot spots that aren't necessarily an issue at that second, but could be. Even years from then, we're fixing them before they even can become a concern. Those are some neat outcomes that have come from that technology use in the field. Moving into that additional technology piece, our monitoring and awareness is second to none. Our AI that we use in our cameras that we have placed in multiple locations and will continue to place them in locations, not only has found fire faster than even our fire departments have in some locations and have reported it to them, but also has the ability to find smoke anywhere and really determine if it's a tractor starting or if it's a fire start. These AI cameras are super impressive, and we'll have some pictures as we go through the slide to kind of show you some of those. Our advanced fire modeling software, as we move more and more into the PSPS conversation, that'll come into play a little more. We don't just sit here and guess like, well, looks like a day we're gonna have to turn the power off. There's a lot of different factors that are in place. And that PSPS is truly a last tool in our toolbox, the last resort. It's never the first thing to do. That's if all of these other things aren't enough, that's the tool that we would pull out of the toolbox. But as we decide that, we have meteorologists on staff now, which 5-10 years ago, meteorologists didn't exist in the utility world. We have a meteorological department now that we never had. We have a very robust fire mitigation team that we haven't had in the past. That we're very lucky to be able to have very experienced individuals from multi-faceted fire areas across the state and nation. The federal and state agency partnerships, especially with our cameras, have become vital to them and us. They have access to it. They can see what we can see. We're not just placing them in areas that will only impact an APS system, but impact the area, which is a benefit to everybody, not just the system as a whole. But the initial reason would be for the system. Our operational mitigations, we talked about our non-reclosing strategy. I'm going to let Janet talk a little bit about our public outreach. Our red flag warning protocols are something that I'm pretty proud of, and that is we will shut down operations during the red flag day. We will not work. We just won't. There's no reason to. Where, when a red flag is called, and you've all lived in the mountains, fire can move faster than we can catch it. We don't want to be the cause of that. So we're not going to work during a red flag condition. And then as we move into our public safety power shutoffs, but before I hand it to Janet, I know it's a lot. Any questions, comments?
Yeah, so you talked about 3 times and it would go back on and fire sees this one. What determines that? The fire danger that we go to stage 1? How do you determine that? So
right now we have a fire season that we have marked, and that's May 1st. But what we'll do is we have our P levels also. So we have our priority levels or our fire preparedness levels, if you will. So we call our own, which very closely shadow the Forest Service and the state and Weather Service. Once we get into a P3, normal operating is P1. Just life is just what it needs to be. P2 is we add the fire equipment to our vehicles, but we're not changing the reclosing strategy to the system. P3, which is done through our modeling system, which is going to be based on our meteorologists, our weather modeling, fuel load, moisture. That's what decides it. So then we'll initially say, well, it's time to put it in non-reclose strategy.
So I guess I'm just trying to make sure I understand. So we already went into stage 1, and you said May. So is that something you guys will start doing sooner, maybe, possibly, because of the danger we're in right now? I know we got some snow last week, but still in the...
There is potential. Currently, though, we're in P2 in this area. So we're in a situation where there's fire equipment on our trucks, even with the snow. All our trucks are equipped with our water and our firefighting equipment that we carry. But the reclose strategy is not in place yet. It's mainly based on the fuel moisture at this point. But again, with the winds, no additional moisture, it could absolutely be sooner than later. But this is something that's been in place for a few years. So it's not something that's new, the reclose strategy. We are pretty fast still about running out and getting these inspected. We have people on standby, ready to go. We're watching for that stuff when we do go into reclose strategy or non-reclose to not extend the outage any longer than we have to. But before we'll flip that switch, if you will, or we call close in, we have to make sure it's clear. We're not going to cause a fire.
Thank you.
That makes sense. Jen?
Okay, well, real quick, before we really get into the public safety power shutoff, which, as Joe mentioned, is the newest tool in the toolbox, I wanted to show this picture. This is a shot from one of the AI cameras that Joe mentioned, and in our monitoring and awareness pillar of our fire mitigation protocols. And this is a camera that's up on top of Mount Eldon and Flagstaff, and you can see the dome in there. There it is. You can see the dome. But this is it picked up this fire start, and our AI cameras are now linked into the regional dispatch centers, so they're getting notification as soon, very quickly. And we had a story out of Prescott where one of our cameras, actually 2 of our cameras, picked up a fire start in the Prescott area. We think it's probably saved 2 to 3 hours before it would have been seen any other way. And because these 2 cameras overlapped on that visual, it actually was able to triangulate and get firefighters, first responders within yards of the actual spot. So we're pretty excited about this. And all this new detection, weather stations, all of our kind of monitoring and awareness, it's because we want to make all of our decisions from a data-driven perspective. We don't want, as Joe said, we don't want to be guessing. And a few years ago, we found out there was one weather station with information we could get within 1 mile of one of our lines. And that wasn't enough weather data for us.
So Janet, I think it's pretty cool that that's in Flagstaff. You know my next comment, right? Do we have one?
Yes.
Okay, thank
Let
you.
me go back.
Yeah, and you will have more than that.
Okay,
So these maps are hard to see, but they're in your presentation. These are as of yesterday, they updated these for me. These show you the PTZ cameras. These are pan, zoom, tilt cameras that are on our lines and are really watching our lines. These AI cameras are what we have in place now, and there's 16 of them, and we've got another 15 or so that are going to be installed mostly here in northern Arizona before May 1st. And then we've got our various weather stations. So you can, I know you're going to have to kind of zoom in on this, and I don't know that I can very easily, but we are trying to put these across the service territory.
really working my eye, isn't she?
Yeah, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
But Mayor, this area is not an area that is being left out of that. This is an area of concern. It truly is. We have a few feeders here that are currently listed as fire mitigation feeders for us, and it's the Sholo feeders, quite honestly. So we're not going to ignore that.
You guys got more snow in Williams than we did, so.
We actually did, which is rare.
Very rare.
So that's
So
not
sad.
So now I want to move on because just like you, the thing that keeps us up at night is wildfire, and how do we mitigate? How do we help prevent? How do we help protect our communities? Because with our infrastructure, there is an inherent risk, and we're very, very aware of that. What Joe gave you was the overview of our entire program. Now we're going to focus in on the newest tool in the toolbox, which is public safety power shutoffs. And this is a tool that in the most extreme conditions, where there are multiple indices that are scoring that it is very extreme, we may turn power off to lines, some of our lines. Joe mentioned high-risk fire areas. We have about 250 of our feeder lines that we consider to be in areas that are at high risk of fire. Of those 250 lines, last year we trialed PSPS with 13. This year we've expanded it to 65. This year it does impact the city of Sholo, and it impacts it in a pretty significant way if we have to call one of these. These are, again, very data-driven. We're looking at wind and multiple facets of wind, sustained wind, wind gusts, wind direction, what direction a fire might be pushed if it starts along one of these high-risk lines. We're looking at moisture content, fuel loading, relative humidity, and we're scoring all these things. And our team that Joe described, our meteorologists, our fire mitigation specialists, fire scientists, are monitoring all these things 24/7, and they're looking days, if not weeks out, to see what do conditions look like. And if they sense that come 7, 8 days, 2 weeks down the line, we might be headed towards conditions that with everything else we've done, it's just not enough, we may call a shutoff. Kind of the highlights of these, they're a tool in our toolbox. They're a way that is going to help us prevent, reduce, and respond to wildfires. We're only going to use them during high-risk conditions, and they're going to, in the overall scope of our 1.3 million customers, it is going to impact a relatively small number, but when it's your city, it's not that small. Couple of key things. These are going to be forecastable events. We're going to know days in advance that it is looking like we're going to have conditions that could mean we have to call a PSPS event. Probably about 7 days in advance, our team is going to feel like they're getting a little bit of confidence and that this is really going to happen. About 5 days in advance, I'm probably going to be talking to our county emergency managers because they're a key partner in this with us and saying, hey, look, we think we've got one coming. 4 days in advance, we're going to be talking directly to our customers, and I'll show you some of the plan there, but we'll be telling our customers, we think this is coming in your area. Make sure you're prepared. 3 days out, 2 days out, day of. We're going to be communicating regularly with our customers. Another thing to know, when we looked at adding public safety power shutoffs to our toolkit last year, we took a historic look back, and we looked back over 5 years. It's now been 6 years because this program was in place last year. Within the last 6 years, we think that we might have had to call a public safety power shutoff event somewhere in northern Arizona 4 times in 6 years. So this is not a every year event. This is not a every month event. This is going to be a rare event here in Arizona where we see all of those indices come to the point that we've got to call one of these. We also looked at how long might they last if we do have to call one somewhere in the state. And what we found is we think it would be about a 20-hour power outage on average. Can't guarantee 20 hours, might be less, might be more. But what we looked at was the time of the event. And as we all know, a lot of times the wind dies off at night. So it's after dark. After dark is not a time where we can see what we need to see on our lines. So if we have one of these wind events come through, we'll have the event, conditions will die down, but we also factored in nighttime. We're not going to be able to see what we need to see. And then 2 hours after daylight, Joe and his teams have had to come up with their plan. How are they going to have power back on within 2 hours? So they'll have been moving resources up, they'll have troublemen staged, they'll have crews available, and they will work their plan. So that's what's in the 20-hour average we think one of these events might last. What's not in there is if something actually does get broken through the event, then there'll be restoration time for a certain segment of the line that was impacted. So forecastable, maybe an average of 20 hours, not days like we've seen in some other states, hours. And we want to make these as targeted as possible. So we are trying to impact the least number of customers while keeping the areas we're concerned about safe. We are still working on our final maps and customer lists, but I do know that 2 of our feeder lines in Show Low are impacted, and it will be kind of along the Deuce area and then south of the Deuce. It won't be, do I have my directions
No,
right?
you're right.
South of the Deuce. It won't be the airport area. That line's not impacted, but it's our other 2 feeders in the area.
And we'll continue to work through that, especially as the years progress on, is there any other opportunities there, whether that's added equipment, added protections to continue to reduce, that to the best of our ability, but fully understanding that this is a last resort. This is not something that we're going to pull lighthearted at all. There will be a ton of not only data-driven pieces of this, but it's not something we want to do either. It's not, but it's something that if that is the last resort, it's better than the alternative. And that's how
So we have sat down and talked to some of your city leadership department heads, critical infrastructure, to make sure they're aware. We did that several weeks ago. So your water department, your public works department, they're fully aware of this program. The other thing we're going to do is a lot of communication. And now I have to get back to how to do that. I haven't used it. Usually, there we go. I want to show you some of our outreach. We've talked with your PIO, and public outreach is a big component for us. And we're talking on those 250 feeders that are in high fire risk area, we're talking to those customers in general every year. And one of our key messages is personal preparedness. Oh, I jumped. Encouraging our customers to sign up in our system, make sure all their contact information is correct so we can reach out to them. And also we encourage them to sign up for all of the county alert systems so that they know, because county emergency managers across our service territory are key partners, and they're going to be using their system to help us communicate if we have to call one of these public safety power shutoffs. So all of our customers in a high-risk fire area are getting that preparation message, have your plan, be signed up for alerts. But then our customers who are impacted, going to be impacted or could be impacted by a public safety power shutoff, they're getting even more messaging. And that messaging is going to start in the next few weeks. And that's making sure we're going to be explaining to them what a public safety power shutoff is, that they could be impacted. What does it mean? Why do we have the tool? Why we've added this tool? So we'll be talking more directly to them. Kind of an overview. This is a flow sheet for this all this messaging I've been telling you we're going to do. We're out in the field right now telling our customers to get prepared. In the next couple of weeks, 2 to 3 weeks, we'll know exactly which customers are impacted. We'll be talking to them directly, and we'll we're already working with the media in general about what public safety power shutoffs are. So, couple pictures. This is a picture of last year's mailer to customers who are impacted. I know. It just shows you. You're going to need it, and you're going to be able to hold it in your hands if you're an impacted customer and read it. This is to show you, though, very comprehensive. And then, as I said, we are working with your leadership team and your staff, and your PIO, Grace, is fully involved and knows about this, and our PIO team is going to be up here this week meeting with her, because we want to make sure that we're working within the White Mountain Fire Coordinating Council group's messaging, make sure that we're consistent also.
And by the way, your departments, fire departments, public works and all of them have been fantastic to work with.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely fantastic.
Good job, Rick. He loves hearing that.
So I know I threw a lot at you, and I know the fact that the city of Show Low is in an area impacted by public safety power shutoffs this year is a little bit daunting, but we're here. We're going to make these as targeted as we can. And the other thing that we found as we looked historically is it's not going to be across all of northern Arizona if one of these is going to be called. The way our weather events work is it might just be Yavapai County. It might just be the Rim. Coconino County, that's where we've seen, when we did that historic look back, that's where we saw a lot of those 4. And then last year we were tracking, there were 3 different times we were tracking on our feeders. None of them, we never got to all the indices flagging that we needed to call one of them, but all 3 of those were also in Coconino County. Just telling you that to maybe
To
help
his
you.
point, usually they get more snow. We won this one.
Yeah. So, but I want to stop there. I've thrown a lot at you.
You think?
I want you to know that this is very thought out, and we're fully integrated with your team. But what questions can we answer?
I'm going to try to figure that out. I'm going to go first. So you're talking about the line south of the Deuce. Tell me in layman's terms what you're talking. They're going bad eventually. Is that what you're saying? What are we saying here?
We are worried that if one of those lines, if in these really high extreme weather conditions, one of those lines comes down and sparks and starts a fire, it's going to be driven in a way that it's going to.
Okay, I have a solution for that. Put it underground. It's one of them. And when you do, let us know, because we'd like to continue that program. Anyway, I was just going to make a comment. I put a generator on my house probably about 12, 13 years ago because I've got so much stuff in my garage and it's never had to be used. So thank you.
But, to your
Other than I wasted all that money, but
well, maybe not. Let's hope so.
let's hope so.
But, our fire modeling software is a key component of this, as well as the expertise, boots on the ground, talking with the coordinating council, all of those folks. What resources are in the area, what wind would trigger that. We have all of those indices in place to where if a fire did start, it could be devastating for the town, right? In those certain areas. And our lines happen to run through some of those areas. The areas are not the entire line, but power flows like water, right? I can't cap it here and then have it jump and go on. There's not another source down that way yet, right? You never know, right? As things grow, as things develop, there's different options that could be in place, and we'll continue to look at the technologies to reduce, the fire risk as a whole. But it honestly comes down to what's the right thing. And I know you know that, Mayor, but it's the alternative that it just doesn't look too appeasing, right? If all of those things line up, like Janet mentioned, luckily for the Show Low area, most of those indices get closest in the last many years in the Coconino area, not here, which is a blessing. But that doesn't mean you're immune to it. It just means that there's absolutely a risk here, and we want to make sure we're upfront, honest, and making sure you're aware of each of the things we have in place before we would pull that lever.
Questions or comments?
Ask my question.
He did? Oh, you answered it?
No, I already asked it.
Any questions or comments? Thank you guys again. I know you usually come here every year about this time, and I was kind of concerned about years earlier about the May thing. Let's not stick to a date. Let's stick to, which when you answered that, because, we're at stage 1. We can be in stage 2 within a week if the winds keep blowing. So I like the idea that you're not set on May 1st. So
No, we're never going to let the date on the calendar
Sure.
keep us from doing what we need to help protect a community. Even with the expanded PSPS lines this year, the extra 40, whatever we added, in our minds, they go active May 1st, but we have got assurances that if next week we see something,
Right.
we're going to pull the
Well,
trigger.
Southern Arizona, Cochise County's in P3 today. They're
Yeah.
hitting on reloads,
Yeah.
which is the earliest they've ever been. So that tells you the moisture content there. But these questions are not one and done. I hope you all know that. I know you have my contact. If you don't, I'm more than happy to give that to you. You think of something, call me.
Yeah.
Email me, whatever that takes. And we'll be glad to run that down or provide those answers to you. We appreciate the partnership, and we don't take this lightly either, by any stretch of the imagination.
And we are happy to do any communication.
Absolutely.
We're going to be at the White Mountain Fire Preparedness meeting that's coming up next weekend, not this weekend, but next weekend. I'll be there tabling and answering questions. It looks like I might have missed a couple of events recently that maybe the city held, but that I didn't know about. But if there are any where you think we need to be there to talk one-on-one with customers, just let me know.
Absolutely.
Or present at a community meeting. We're available.
Okay, appreciate that.
Thank you
Okay.
very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good seeing you guys. Thank you. Alrighty, next item on the agenda is presentation by Nexus Coalition for Drug Prevention. Mrs. Solomon.
Thank you very much for having me. Appreciate it. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Vicki Solomon, Executive Director for Nexus Coalition, and I am a lifetimer here in the White Mountains. Born and raised in Heber Overgaard, moved to Taylor, and have been there for about 36 years. And I've actually served the Show Low area for 36 years because I've worked here my entire working life. So thank you for having me. I just wanted to give you a quick update of what has been going on. With Nexus Coalition. So the two main goals that we exist is to reduce substance use, and then I love this part, increase resiliency and connection among the youth and parents and caregivers. And then the second part is what I get to do right now is establish and strengthen collaboration and connection among community organizations. So it's a mouthful, but all we do is we build relationships and we serve. That's what we do. This is my staff. I don't have a team of 15 or 20, but sometimes the work that we produce, it feels like maybe we've had that. I wanted to show you the numbers on the right-hand side, the community impact for the youth participating activities. This is one grant year. So from October to October, this last October, that's our grant year. 16,000 youth participated in activities, 5,700 adults, 885 activities, and then the 962 naloxone. Every naloxone that we hand out, it has an education that's tied to that. We don't just stand on the street and hand that out. So the education piece is very important. And then the 53,000 education materials that were distributed. And so, like I said, I'm very thankful for my staff. I am looking for a full-time position that's coming up. So if anybody has any good ideas of who might be a good fit for Nexus, please keep that in mind. what do we actually do? We work off of, mainly we try to do the evidence-based curriculum. We are in the schools, and so we know that the schools really appreciate that. And we are grant funded, and our grants love that evidence-based curriculum. So there's some of the youth curriculum there. And then if we can't do that, then we use best practices. So we've got our best practices there. And then also it's important that our staff continue get that education and that they're learning the current drug trends that are going on. There's one in there, it's called SACLA, Substance Awareness Coalition Leaders of Arizona. And that is a statewide coalition that we joined 8 years ago, 9 years ago, when I took over the organization. There was only about 15 or 20 coalitions in the state of Arizona, and today there's 40 of them. And we are still one of the 7 executive directors on that committee. So that's pretty cool, and it's growing, and we're glad to see that. But there's just a little snapshot of that. Now, pictures say 1,000 words, and I don't have a very good voice, and so I'm going to show you some pictures of Nexus in action. And then real quick, I just wanted to let you guys know, because this is Sholo, we do have awesome programs that we participate in. Right now, we're working with the Teen Court program with Krista Rask, and then also we're working with the high school on the Freshman Academy, and that one's really cool to be able to go in. We go in 6 different times and provide some education there. We're working with Nicholas on that. And then also the Sholo Rise program. So this is with our special needs kiddos. We've got a lady that goes in once a week, and we have 3-year-olds. That's the youngest that I've ever educated, besides my own family members, just want to say. But they have 3 years old to 18-year-olds, and so we're in there doing some education for them. And so that's the Sholo specifically. But we do have lots of different things that we do throughout the community. We got vaping education. We do tabling events. If there's a school need, then we try to meet that school need. Some of the partners, we work with 12 different sectors, and so this is the 12 sectors. Pretty much anybody that's breathing, we want to work with you. There's something that we may be able to do and help you. If it's not staff, education and training, there's going to be something, item distribution or something there. And then here's some more photos of the different things. We bebop all around. We're in White River. That has opened up really well, and being able to go in there and provide education. Last year we were there once a month providing education. And then we've got another staff that went into Indian Wells, and so we're able to do some education over there. We work with all of the local chambers throughout Navajo County. We work with the justice courts. The Future First Responders of America is another really cool program. And then obviously we've got our Janine Ford that is really fun to work with on a monthly basis. Navajo County Sheriff Department and the local PDs in each of the different communities we work with. High schools throughout Navajo County, we're tapping into those. We haven't quite got, in Navajo County, we haven't quite gotten the Holbrook, Winslow area covered yet. That might be another grant that I'll have to work on in the future. But we definitely have the Sholo Pine Top Lakeside area covered. National Guard comes and visits us and provides support as well. We have been participating, I've been participating with Kirk Webb for almost 15 years now with the Safety Village. And this is a really cool program, and we see over 2,000 kiddos. That's awesome. And then in closing, I just wanted to make sure that you were aware of the naloxone fentanyl training that we do throughout Navajo County. This is something that we gear towards adults only. We haven't educated kiddos on this yet. We educate on fentanyl, but we need to have the parents' permission to educate them about the naloxone reversing agent of the opioid. So this is pretty much an adult program. While we can still get the free naloxone, we want to make sure that is getting into our communities. So if you guys see a need that we can do that, please let us know. I just worked with a foster care program that covers, I think she said about 5 or 6 different counties, and she needed some naloxone, and I said, I don't just hand it out, you have to have the education. So we did a Zoom and did the education. She said, Vicki, I have been to many, many, many of these naloxone educations, and this is the very best that I've ever had. And she said the reason why is because you tie it back to the fentanyl. A lot of times people just get trained on naloxone, but we want you to know why the opioid reversal is necessary. So I think we have a pretty good program, so please feel free to let me know if we can help you with any of that. And then we do promote our 24-hour crisis line. This is in the whole Navajo County that's available, and everybody's crisis is different. And so we want to make sure that if a person feels like they're in crisis, to please call this number. And we used to not have a whole lot of services backing behind this, but there is now, and so we want to make sure and promote that. So every one of our education pieces have this in it. So with that, I know I talked really fast because you guys are tired and it's late. Is there anything that I can answer? Any questions?
Any questions, comments?
It's a great program.
Yeah, I was just gonna say thank you, Vicki.
Thank you. You
Great
bet.
job.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
I see you everywhere, so you're right. On all this, you're everywhere. I got a question. Your Nexus Coalition logo, did you change that?
Yes. So back.
Because it's eye-popping, and that's why.
Good. Good. So
The other one, not so much that one. The other one on the other page, I noticed it's a little different, and I don't know, the red and black and everything just went together, and it looked different from where I see it out and about. So
I love it. So 2007, the organization started, and it has morphed into lots of different names. But in 2013, the nonprofit is what kicked in. And then when I took it over about 9 years ago, that's when it came Nexus Coalition, and we got the red, the black, and the gray. I kind of like that too.
yeah, it definitely pops. Yeah, go ahead.
Vicki, thank you for coming. We appreciate you and appreciate everything you do. Is there anything that you need from the city as far as partnerships and stuff like that? Or how are we doing to help facilitate your program and stuff?
Well, I love it because we've got naloxone education with several different programs that you have within the city. And if there's any more that we can add to that, then we're happy to do that. And then I know that you guys have friends in the schools departments, and so anytime that you can help us get into the schools, we feel like we're a free employee for them, and we want them to utilize us. And if I need to hire more people, then I will hire more people, but we want them taken care of. And so if you could help me get into the schools if we're not already, then we would love to do that.
Derek, you feel eyeballs burning you up over there?
I think Bryce is our school liaison. so
Oh,
we
that's
can-
right. There's
yeah,
a-
Councilman Judd.
That's right. He's our school
reach out to
liaison.
Excellent.
Vicki, absolutely. Thank you for everything you do for our community. It's amazing. It really is. And you're right. You just did a little presentation here, but you are literally everywhere. And your team, it was nice to see your team again because I see them and I don't really remember where I've seen them or what they were about. So we appreciate it.
Thank you. And I'll leave business cards and a few brochures if anybody.
Give them to our city clerk over there. She'll make sure we get them, I promise. Thank you again, Vicki. Appreciate it.
Have a good night.
Alrighty, next item on the agenda. She's still here? Yeah, she's still here. Is a presentation by Show O Main Street. Oh, and Mr. Martin. Come on up. I didn't say your third last name. Or you say Miss Stowe. And Mr. Martin.
Good evening, Mayor and council members. My name is Denise Stowe. I'm the event manager for Show Low Main Street.
I'm the president of Show Low Main Street.
And right now, I'd like to, if you don't mind, I'd like to read you our mission. We've updated it. I'd like to read it to you. Show Low Main Street is a 5013C nonprofit organization dedicated to fostering a vibrant, welcoming community in the downtown Show Low. We work to revitalize the area by organizing engaging events that bring people together, enhancing the beauty of our historic district, and supporting local businesses. Through collaboration with other organizations, community stakeholders, our mission is to strengthen the local economy, preserve our heritage, and create a thriving, connected White Mountains community for all to enjoy. So that's our new mission.
And I just wanted to talk about how we wanted to thank you guys for the support and partnership that you guys have given us, and talk about some of the things that we've done to give back to the city. We donate monetarily to different things like sirens and sleigh bells. we raised money for the bricks that are going to be installed in the Turn of a Card area when it gets a little warmer, of course. And the funds that we raised for that went to the community garden in town here. And then there's 2 benches that are in the memorial area that we paid for that were installed in there. And the last thing is that for the Festival of Trees, we helped with that and we donated to that event as well. This year, we're working on something I think pretty big, and that's in the Turn of the Card area. There's 10 bollards that are kind of worn out. We're working on replacing those with custom bollards, both with color and white light to illuminate the sidewalk, and there will also be there'll be some designs in those bollards as well. Also, there's a couple of garbage cans in the Turn of the Card area that the concrete's coming off of them, and so we're planning on replacing those with some of the ones that are over here that are powder coated that have the show logo. So that's another thing that we're working on. And then again, this year we're going to donate to the Sleighs and Bells, and we're also going to give some money to the food pantry during the holiday season. That's what we're up to again, and I thank all of you all. We wouldn't be here without you and your support.
Thank you.
And I'm just going to really quickly go over last year's events, just to let you know how things went. Our farmers market and art walk, spit that out, was really well. We had 60 vendors and entertainment at the stage right there. We did give out almost 2,000 bags to our customers. They were yellow, and we had our platinum sponsors logo on Show Low Main Street on them. So we gave out quite a few. The other 500 went to the trunk or treat. Go ahead.
One Saturday we had over 1,000 people at the market. So, and then most of those people, well, some of those people are locals, but we draw in a wide crowd from different areas.
Right.
So.
And then the Battle of the Bands of Vans was great too. We always have a good. We probably had 1,500 to 2,000 people too come in and throughout the day. It was a lot of fun. We had our first Deuces Gone Wild Kicking Up Your Boots casino night. We had, I would say, about 125. We're hoping that it'll get a little bit bigger. It was very good. We had some great appetizers from this really awesome barbecue business. I believe it was the Cowboy Way Barbecue. I think.
There's that plug.
No, but it was great. And then Persnickety's actually donated all the desserts, and then we had Ashley Westcott that played in the band. So it was really good. We had our Halloween trunk or treat, which was unbelievable. We believe we probably had about 5,000 people. We had a kids zone, a 40 by 40 haunted house, food vendors, and we had about 36 trunks. But it was just that. I mean, the line was around the Hatch Toyota. It was just unreal, but people just loved it. So
You want to get in that line starting October?
probably, yeah.
It just seems like it grows every year.
Yeah, it's just growing like crazy. We might even had 6,000 because we gave out 1,500 bags to just the kids. So you have families that have 5 grandpas coming. So we could have hit 6. So it was pretty big. It was fun. And I think we gave out probably over 300,000 pieces of candy that night. And I'm glad I didn't have any kids go home with me. But anyways, and then the Santa Winter Wonderland Craft Fair was great. It was a 2-day event. We had 44 vendors. We had Santa, and we had 2 food trucks too, that guy over there. But anyways, I just want to really tell you real quick what's coming up right now is our farmers market. It's going to starts May 10th, and we are full. We have about 60 vendors. We have food trucks. We have entertainment coming on board. We have our Halloween trunk or treat, which is October 25th. Battle of the Bands is August 30th, and Santa's Winter Wonderland Craft Fair is December 5th and 6th. And our second Deuces Gone Wild, Kicking Up Your Boots, will be June 28th. Our goal, just so you all know, our goal is to continue to build relationships with our community and our businesses, and also to continue working with you all and the city. And like Brian said, gosh, we thank you so much for supporting us and allowing us to do things here for our town, our community, and we know that people love it. So we appreciate you.
Denise, what would be a good place for all those events you just named? How would they find out the dates of them? Or I think you said the dates. How about the locations of them?
Oh, yes.
Everything is listed on Show Low Main Street
Okay.
website
And Facebook.
and Facebook. We promote things on Facebook.
Okay. Good.
And then I gave you just the two flyers, the two new, or the ones that are coming up. So I didn't give you all four of them right now.
Okay.
So, but we would love for you all to come and join us and come down and see, what goes on, and come and check out the Halloween one. Oh my heavens.
That'd be wonderful.
Be great. Yeah.
And check out some hors d'oeuvres at the casino night.
Oh my gosh. I'm going to tell you right now, it was the best. So, well, they had 8 tables filled with stuff between him and Persnickety, so it was great. I appreciate it. So.
Any other questions or comments down there? Thank you guys very much.
Thank you.
Have a great night.
Yeah, have a good one.
Thank you for what you do in our community too. Okay, next item on the agenda is consent calendar. Or consider of a commercial hangar sublease and commercial operation agreement. Consideration of commercial hangar sublease and commercial operation agreement with Overseas Aircraft Support. The other one was Show Low Flight Academy, sorry. Consideration of resolution number R2509, rescinding resolution number R2017-04, revising meeting schedule and member notice requirements. Consideration of acceptance of purchase and installation of aquatic center sand filters. Consideration of the meeting of Show Low City Council, special meeting on March 4th, 2025, and regular meeting on March 4th, 2025. I need a motion, or somebody wants to draw anything off, pull it. If not, entertain it.
Make a motion for the consent calendar.
Got a motion, I got a second by Councilman Hatch. All those in favor? All those opposed? Motion passed unanimously. Next item on the agenda under new business, consideration of construction contract for city campus training building remodel design build, City of Show Low project number FM0425, and authorizing of associated budget transfers. Mr. Cupp.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Excuse me. The City of Show Low solicited statements of qualifications from qualified parties for the design and renovation of existing city building to house the city's recreation department. City campus training building remodel design build City of Show Low project FM0425. The project scope includes design and renovations for a building approximately 9,050 square feet. The selection process for the design build team followed ARS Title 34 requirements. The existing building has a new roof and windows. All of the plumbing and electrical will be replaced as part of the project. The building will have offices, cubicles, a break room, restrooms, classrooms, a public foyer, file and storage copier room, and other spaces identified during the programming process. The pre-construction services include the schematic design development, and construction documents based on the preliminary floor plan provided in the request for qualifications. The plan set is now complete and permitted. The second phase of the design build process is construction. A guaranteed maximum price, GMP, for the construction phase was prepared by LD&B LLC. The GMP is in an amount not to exceed $1,622,739.40. Staff recommends awarding the construction contract for city campus training building remodel design build City of Show Low project FM0425 in amount not to exceed $1,622,739.40. $622,739.40 and authorizing the associated budget transfers. And if you look on your slides, we do have some of the architect's renderings of the interior of the building. On the lower right on this slide, that's the reception area. If you turn right, it goes into some private office areas. On the left is a classroom, and as you go further down this hallway, there's another classroom. There's also a lot of storage because the recreation people have a lot of stuff to store. So we made sure we had ample storage. This is back in the private office area. There's some meeting tables here. This is inside of one of the classrooms looking out. There's a glass-lined corridor going down the middle of the building, which if you've been in that building, that's the hallway that's already there, but we're putting some more glass and getting some more light into it. And then also on the very north end, we have a room that they can do Zumba classes and Pilates and those types of activities. And this is a big room. It actually has a divider in the middle of it, so they can divide that up and actually run 2 different classes in there at a time. Again, this is just another one of the classroom areas. And that is all of the slides. I just wanted to give you folks a kind of a look at what we've come up with. It's going to be a really beautiful building, and we're excited to get in there.
Thank you, Mr.
Also, I do have a floor plan. The floor plan I thought was in this set, but we're going to go ahead and put that in the manager's memo on Friday so you can see how those spaces are laid out.
How big is that space? Like
9,000 square feet.
Okay.
So it's big. It's a good sized building.
Questions? Comments?
I got a comment. I don't know if
Okay.
you want to hear it though.
Sure.
Bill, I appreciate everything you've done here. I think this will, with what we have to work with, will look good. I feel like this has kind of been a very long time coming project. I don't know when the city acquired this property, 15 years ago or something like that. And the comment I want to make is I feel like serving on the council, I don't have the mindset that I want to take some building and try to make it work with what we have, because then I feel like we're confined. And I think the last time we talked about this building, I said, can we just bulldoze it? And I think if we did, we'd get more bang for our buck with the 1.6 million we're about to spend on it. But I get that we have a history with it, and that the previous council before us, I feel like they were short-sighted in acquiring this property because they were trying to do things on the cheap. And I feel like when we try to do things on the cheap, we end up spending more money. I think there's a couple of projects that I haven't been a part of that when we do that, we end up trying to make it work, and we end up spending more money because problems arise and all that. So I'm personally, as a council member, I'm frustrated that we're spending this money, but I feel like we are where we are, and we should have had these conversations 7 or 8 years ago, but for some reason we didn't, and now we're stuck with trying to make the best of a situation of a building that I'm not happy with. So I guess that's my comments about it. I just feel like it was very short-sighted when we acquired the property and we tried to do things cheaply. And then when each time we've tried to bring this project to fruition, and it's not anything on staff, it's not anything on the current council. I just feel like this is the hand we've been dealt, and now we have to, we've tried to figure out what to do with that campus for so long, all the way back to when I worked at the city before I went to do my graduate school and stuff like that. And it's just like, this has always kind of been an eyesore and a pain in the butt. And now we're stuck with expending $1.6 million on a building that I don't know. I mean, I feel like, again, I don't want it to take away from what you and your team have done, Bill. I feel like you've done the best with what it is, but just the whole project is bothersome to me. And I hope that in the future, when we're looking at acquiring properties or when we're looking at doing large-scale properties, we don't get in that mindset that somehow we're going to buy some old rickety building and turn it into something that's great. Because I think that that was the idea when this was purchased, because I was involved in the city. I know kind of the history behind it, and it just seems like we could have done so much better. And I honestly don't even want to know the total amount of money that we've expended to acquire this property and to remedy asbestos and to do everything that we've had to put into this property, because I'd probably just make me even more frustrated. So I'll get off my soapbox, Mayor.
It's probably not valued at the 1.6, is that what you're saying?
I'm guessing we probably couldn't recoup our investment. So, and it's probably not, what were the guys saying earlier? It's not cash flow positive at this point. So,
But now you can't go the opposite direction. You're
stuck. We got handed it. Yeah. So anyways.
Anybody down there have anything to add to that? Questions, comments, or motions? Councilman Judd.
I move to approve the construction contract for the city campus training building remodel, design, build, City of Show Low project FM-0425 in the amount not to exceed $1,622,739.40 and authorize the associated budget transfers.
Need a sec, got a second by, was that you, Connie? No. Oh, Councilman Adams, got a second. All those in favor? All those opposed?
I'm just going to do it out of principle at this point.
Sure, 6-1. Appreciate it. And you're right. We're where we're at. We can't go the opposite direction. We can't sell it right now.
Yeah, do nothing with it, but go forward and make it look better. And again, I want to reiterate to Bill and to Shane and to their whole team. They've done the very best with what they can. This is not a reflection on anybody on our staff. I appreciate all of their work for doing that. Thank you, Bill.
No,
and
your
thank
words,
your team.
your words made sense. I appreciate that. Okay, next item on the agenda, we're scratching. We have some more information that staff needs to get to us, so we'll put that on a future agenda. Next, summary of current events. Nothing exciting down there?
Please be careful. Fire season, fire danger.
Yeah, today was pretty obvious. Anybody down there?
Just have one thing real quick. I was over at the city park the other day and it was snowing and our crews were out there working hard. I believe it was the roads crew and the parks crew were out there and they were doing the slurry on at the Show Low Park. And so just want to pass on and appreciate them. If you could pass that on, Mr. Cup, to them and the good job that they do. And we appreciate everything. We've got the best employees on the mountain.
Thank you for that. I don't have anything at this time, but maybe next meeting. City manager.
I don't have anything at this time.
Did I hear that right? I've never known that to ever happen.
That's a shock.
But wait a minute.
That's the first time
Just the time, we'll move
I've
on.
been sitting up here. The city manager didn't have anything to say.
Cut some stuff out.
Yeah. Alrighty, next item, schedule of meetings. I don't think we have anything special. Next item, executive session. Or entertain a motion to discuss and coordinate with our city attorney or attorneys of the public body for legal advice.
I will move that we go into executive session, Mayor.
Motion, I need a second. Got a second. Councilman Nato, all those in favor? I should have done that earlier.
Yeah.
All those opposed?
Yeah.
Motion passed. At this time, we're going to go into executive session. Thank you, guys.
Thanks, everyone.